Welcome to the Lafarge How-To video series. In this video, we will be showing you how to assemble the Lafarge plasterboard partitioning systems, namely fire solutions, moisture solutions, and impact solution partition. The plasterboards will be fixed in the same manner, irrespective of the type of plasterboard. Firstly, you need to wear the correct PPE. Safety is a priority for us at Lafarge, and we always want to ensure that you achieve an injury-free installation. Personal protective equipment include high visibility overall, safety shoes, eye protection, ear protection, hard hat, hand protection, mouth and nose protection. The following tools and products will be required to complete the job: tape measure, tin snips, builder's square, engineering square, spirit level, vice grip, claw hammer, Stanley knife, plasterboard knife, chalk line, plumb bob, masonry or concrete drill, screw guns, carpenter's pencil, hand screwdriver, PH2 bits, rubber mallet, plasterboard planer, straight edge. The products required are plasterboards. These include standard fire check and moisture check boards, 25mm and 41mm drywall screws, 10 by 16 wafer Tex screws, grabber screws for fixing into timber trusses, anchors, specifically nail-in anchors and express anchors, corner beads, fiber tape, plasters, preferably Lafarge jointing plaster and skimlight. Insulation, for example, glass wool, polyester wool, fire and acoustic seals, galvanized sheet for impact protection. Before you begin, it is important to have design and drawing specifications. This will be your guideline for building the structure. There is more information in the Lafarge Gypsum's technical manual. Lafarge offers a 10-year system warranty for installations done in accordance with specifications within the project packs. Now that we have the correct PPE, the correct tools, and a plan, we can begin the actual installation. Firstly, we begin with the single layer installation. Using the design plan, set out the layout of the walls on the floor. Cut the Lafarge Ridgeback Super Track to the correct length using tin snips. Cut the flanges of the Lafarge Ridgeback Super Track. Bend the Lafarge Ridgeback track according to the dimensions and cut through the web. Drill the holes at a maximum of 600mm centers through the Lafarge Ridgeback Super Track. Place the Lafarge Ridgeback Super Track in position and drill holes through the floor track into the concrete floor using a masonry or concrete drill. Ensure that the track is in the correct position before drilling. Clean the drilled holes with compressed air to ensure the nail-in anchors fit easily. Check that the holes are deep enough for the nail-in anchors you will be using. After you have drilled the first hole, place one of the nail-in anchors into the hole but do not fix it yet. Now drill all the other holes. After all the holes have been drilled to the required depth, the nail-in anchors can be fixed using a hammer. Do the same with all the other floor tracks. Determine the height of the Lafarge Ridgeback Super Studs required. This will be the measurement from the underside of the ceiling soffit or the underside of a truss to the inside of the web of the Lafarge Ridgeback Super Track floor track. Using a tape measure, subtract 3mm for the top track that still needs to be installed and cut the Lafarge Ridgeback Super Stud to length. Insert the Lafarge Ridgeback Super Studs into the floor track at the ends and twist into position. Use a spirit level to ensure that the studs are vertical and square. Next, install the top track and fix the studs to the top track. Now measure the length of top track you require. Cut the length you require from a Lafarge Ridgeback Super Track. The top track and floor track are the same component, but the top track is installed with the web facing upwards and the flanges downwards. Clamp the floor track and the studs together using a vice grip and fasten the stud flanges to each flange of the bottom track using Lafarge wafer Tex screws and a screw gun. Use a plumb bob to make sure that the top track and bottom track are in the same plane. Insert the studs into the top track that you have already installed. When installing openings such as doors and windows, remember to also place 2 studs with their webs facing the opening. Measure the door height using a piece of floor track the width of the door frame, and make a proper mark on both sides. Cut along the joint line of the flange and web of the floor track for about 40 mm. Bend the web inwards and fasten the track flanges to the flanges of the stud adjacent to the door opening. Measure the center of the door width and insert a short piece of stud inside the top track and track above the door frame and fix together. Follow the same methodology with the window frames. Now we are ready to start with the inside and outside boarding. When carrying the boards, carry them in a vertical plane. Using a tape measure, measure and mark the height that the plasterboard needs to be from the top fixing point to the inside of the floor track. Position a straight edge along the board and cut the boards to size using a Stanley knife. Always cut the boards with the back face facing downwards. Clean the cut edges of the boards using a plasterboard planer. Mark the screw positions on the face of the board using a tape measure and a chalk line. Fit the board into position. Always remember that the back of the plasterboard should always face the studs. Always cut the 4 plasterboards that fit around the door frame first. Cut 2 for each face of the wall, inside and outside. Cut out the door opening. Remember that the boards must join on the center stud above the door frame. Never join boards in line with the posts as the joints will crack. Ensure that the board's longitudinal edge furthest from the door frame will be fixed to the studs. If the distance between the stud and the door frame is more than 600 mm, insert another stud to reduce the board supporting distance. The overlapping section above the door opening must be cut to fit, so that the 2 boards join on the center stud above the door. Screw spacing connecting the boards to the studs must never be more than 220 mm apart. Install all the boards on one face of the wall. Install the insulation in the cavity. Use a Stanley knife and straight edge to cut the insulation where required. Make sure that there are no gaps in the insulation. After the installation of the insulation, the rest of the boards can be installed, using screw spacing not exceeding 220 mm centers using Lafarge drywall screws. After all the boards have been installed, the window frames can now be installed. If you made use of some drywall screws to keep the plasterboards in place around the window section, please remember to take them out before installing the window frame. Insert the frame so that the plasterboards go between the 2 long and short legs. Start by inserting one piece of the frame and work your way around clockwise. After this section has been installed, make sure that all the corners are neatly laying against each other and that the frame is square. Now insert some drywall screws no more than 5 mm away from the side of the frame. Depending on the size of the window or door, more screws may be needed, but 250 mm spacing will be sufficient. The door frame can now be cut to the height required. Remember to always leave an extra 50 mm to the height of the door, as all the door frames are pre-cut and it is not possible to determine what floor finish you require. After doing a square cut on the door frame, the frame can now be fitted. Firstly, insert the top section of the door frame kit. Then start with either of the legs. After you made sure that the door corners are square and fit neatly into each other, you can insert the drywall screws to fix the door frame. Please follow the tape and joint instructions to finish the wall before painting. For the jointing and skimming of plasterboard, please view the Skimlite Skimstone How-To video. Installation of each of the solutions follows the same process. The difference is the actual plasterboard type and thickness and the way you layer different board types on top of each other. When installing double layers, they will have to be fixed using a 41 mm drywall screw, galvanized sheets for impact solutions. If you need any more information regarding our partitioning solutions, please call the technical department.